Alright, I think that was all the necromorphs. Now I just need to find out where the heck I'm going. Then why in the heck do I smell pizza? You know, I feel like one of those horror cliches are coming on and... Eat this purple bunny of nightmares! Oh god, my arm! You're a monster! And you're about to have no legs. Hey Rangers, welcome to Super Important Reviews. My name's Steve and happy Halloween! Because today we'll be going over the Dead Space 3 PlayArt's Kai figure of Isaac Clarke. This is a figure done by Square Enix, and the main reason I want to do this review for you guys for Halloween is because I was planning on doing the NECA versions of the Dead Space characters, but because we've been doing a lot of NECA reviews recently, I thought it'd be cool to do my one random PlayArt's Kai figure that I have. Because the only one we reviewed on the channel is the Spitter Alien from Colonial Marines. So I thought it'd be a cool little treat for you guys. If you guys don't know who this is the main protagonist from the Dead Space series, and this is from the third game iteration where they are actually on a snow-covered planet. And is the first game in the series to incorporate a co-op campaign. Because the second one had multiplayer, but it was kind of like hit and miss for the most part. But the third game, I actually really enjoyed. It's not the scariest game in the series, don't get me wrong, but I had a lot of fun playing through it with Arnez. It actually has some really good moments in it, especially the DLC. So, I'll be showcasing this figure to you guys today, and also we'll compare it next to the NECA one, so don't worry, they will show up in this video as well. But without further ado, for his packaging, one of my favorites that I own in this collection. Because, for starters, I don't own a whole lot of Dead Space figures other than the NECA, and I do have the dev kit for the third game, which you can only get if you ordered it on the website. It came with like a marker, the med kit, a bunch of stuff, really awesome. And I have the Square Enix figure, which, when I initially got it, I already fell in love with this thing because of the box here, his little cardboard prison. Looks gorgeous. You have a nice image of the figure on the front, has the snow-covered planet in the background. It also has a lot of metallic text that's kind of hard to read on the front of the packaging, but it says Dead Space 3, Visceral Games, warning, small choking parts, ages 13 and up. Top of the packaging just says Dead Space 3, some more warnings. Side, more of the same. Opposite side, even more of the same. Back of the packaging, you just get Isaac Clarke in a bunch of dynamic poses, shows you what he comes with inside of the packaging. Some stuff I can't understand, some legal mumbo jumbo, just some Square Enix stuff here on the bottom. And then my favorite thing is when you open it up, because you can't open the packaging. My official favorite display I own in my collection. It's the main reason I still actually keep the figure inside of the packaging. Because for some of these reviews, I tend to open them, put them back in the packaging, and then I showcase them to you guys. Well, this one, this is how I have them displayed in my collection, because I just love the overall space atmosphere. You have the evil little planet here on the background, which I won't spoil it for you guys if you haven't played the game. It shows another image of the figure inside of the packaging, and has some bios, which if you want to read them real quick, I will let you. And that is easily one thing I would give these Square Enix figures, is just the packaging alone is almost enough to merit picking up some of these figures that they put out, especially this Dead Space Isaac figure. But anyways, let's get him open up out of his cardboard prison. Alright, so now that we have Isaac open up out of his cardboard prison, first we're going to start with some of the accessories, which he comes with a stand. A stand that I don't really care for, because you see here, Isaac stands pretty good all by himself. And the stand, when you fully assemble it, super huge, super bulky, kind of falls apart real easy, which is the main reason why you'll see here, I don't even have it assembled yet. Also mainly because I just keep them in the box anyways. But if you guys would like to see it fully assembled, I still have the one hooked up for my alien, which I'm gonna have to adjust the arm a little bit here just so it can go around Isaac's waist. If you want to move the arm, you just pull it out, insert it into a new peg hole, or if you want it curving, you just make sure you line it up with the sides of the peg here so you can have it moving at different angles if you really wanted to. But I kind of wish they would have just had some way of actually having the slide. Would have been really cool. But it does a okay job as a stand, as you'll see. Put it around Isaac's waist. It will hold on to him very securely, which is nice. But it's just a super huge, bulky stand. And mainly, I don't even really like using stands in most of my figures anyways, unless they tip over really easily. And with Isaac here, he stands pretty well without it. So it's not something that is necessarily needed for the figure, but I still do appreciate it comes with a stand nonetheless. Next for Isaac, he comes with 2 pairs of hands, which out of the packaging, he has 2 hands meant for gripping onto his weapons here, which overall the details on the hands are actually really nice. Have this very leather look for the glove here with some armor padding for the top portion of the hand. It looks really nice overall. And then when you want to swap out the hands, just like on Monster Arts figures, Figure Arts, Figmas, you want to pull straight out from the forearm. And eventually it'll pop off as long as I don't smack into the camera here. And then when you're attaching the new hand, you want to go straight into the forearm so that you're not applying pressure on the peg. Which for these hands are just balled up fists ready for punching us some necromorphs. Get them in the random like dueling positions. Have them like fighting other people in your display cases. And overall, pretty cool accessory. I might have liked to have seen more of a cupping hand. Which you do kind of get one that you can use with the assault rifle. But maybe just something more of a relaxed hand would have been really nice. Like an open palm. So you can be doing his navigation techniques. Then he also comes with his trademark plasma cutter, which the detailing on this thing is awesome. Really love the metallic wash over the majority of the weapon here, with the handle being done a little bit more in a gunmetal. Same with the little cylinder canister on the bottom here, looks really good. And the yellow has a little bit of a worn effect going over the top of it. And what's also really cool, is you can rotate the barrel. Just like you could in the video game, because this is meant to dismember the necromorph's limbs, so you have straight on to have a more horizontal beam to fire out, and then have it vertical to fire a vertical beam out. And it's really cool that they incorporated it into the gun here. Might have been kind of neat to see like a little clear effect here for the front section here, just to represent the gun kind of shooting. And then he also gets his trademark pulse rifle from the game, which is one of the more weaker weapons in the video game, but was also one of my more favorite ones to use just because it's one of the only true military weapons you get in the entire game. You can see here it has 3 barrels on the front, overall done in this very nice gunmetal wash throughout the entirety of the weapon, with some black here for the sights on the barrels. It has this metallic silver wash over top to give it more of that scratched gun barrel look. And you can see a little bit more of that caution yellow kind of spread throughout the weapon here. And the detailing on it looks great. You have the bolt here on the side of the weapon. You have the stock on the back of the gun. Handle looks really nice. The only thing is my barrels look like they're arcing up just a little slightly. So I don't imagine this weapon's going to be super accurate. This side, it doesn't look quite as bad. Then real quick, if you want to see Isaac holding onto his weapons, here he is with the plasma cutter, which, oh, this brings back memories. Then I'll show you guys with it rotated here as well. Getting ready to dismember some horror icons. Just imagine if you had this weapon when you're, say, playing like Five Nights at Freddy's or most other horror games. I'd feel sorry for the bad guys. And how you get it into his hand real quick, my little trick that I have for this is you're going to want to push it into the hand first, going towards the thumb, and then you just kind of rotate it into the grip. Really easy to do, really easy to swap back out. And just like with the plasma cutter, you do the same thing for the pulse rifle here, but you want to make sure that it sits up a little bit higher in his hand, because the way his trigger finger sits, it's kind of awkward holding. But we're just going to have him cupping and holding the rifle anyways, so. Still looks really good, too. This is actually the one I like pulsing this Isaac with personally. The NECA figures came with the plasma cutter, so I didn't really see much of a point in having him hold this one. And again, it's one of my more favorite weapons from the series, so really cool to see it incorporated into this figure. Then for a closer look at Isaac's details, head sculpt is pretty nice overall, where you can see his front of his mask illuminating, where he has his trademark slits in the front of his helmet, but he also has a cloth mouth guard on the front so that when they're on the planet, when they're breathing in the cold air, it isn't going straight on his throat, which I thought was a pretty cool little touch that they added to the suit here. Has a bronze metallic covering for the top portion of the helmet. Details on the side and the back look really nice. I guess the one complaint I have is I wish they would have used a brighter color for the paint for the illuminating effect, because without having all my lights on it right now, it does look a little bit dull. Like you see here, even for his little data pad on the front portion of his chest, not the brightest looking thing. And it might even been kind of cool to see a light up gimmick like they have with the NECA figures for these guys, because the detailing for here is pretty bland overall. You're not going to really be paying too much attention to it, but this might have been nice too to actually have like a little decal to go over the top of that. That would have been actually really cool. But the details for the holder are still really nice, with some copper plating and some gunmetal for the cradle on the inside of the little data pad. And I don't imagine a light up gimmick going to be too hard to do, because even on the back here for his life gauge and for your stasis attack. They're pretty nicely lit, unlike the front portion of the mask, but still, a light up gimmick would really help to have made these shown. Or even, again, just a brighter paint job used for this, or even maybe something glow in the dark techniques, really would have helped to make this shine. The details for the life gauge still look really nice too. I like how they incorporated the little wave patterns, where you see whenever you took damage, it would progress down, and you start losing some of the trailings going up towards the top, which I think is cool that they incorporated it. Same with the gauge here, looks really nice too. And then for the armoring for his body, is overall done in a very dark gray color scheme with some detailing here for the front section for his ab and for the armor padding. And you have this weird little tube kind of running out throughout the entirety of the suit, going into the back here right underneath the life gauge. And one thing that's pretty trademark for this Isaac compared to most of the other ones in the series is he has this little wool covering going over the top portion of his armor to help insulate the suit, which I always thought was a cool little touch to the armor in the video game. It's nice to see it on the figure. For his arms, same kind of armor padding that you see throughout the body, but there's a few little subtle detailed touches, like you have weird little binoculars on his left bicep here, with a dark brown armor plating going over the portion of his bicep. You can see some of the claws sticking out through the inner section of armor, and the joints, which is probably the worst thing on this figure, is all the joints stand out on each section. Like even here on the hand, it sort of blends in with the glove, but I wish that they would use different color joints throughout the entirety of the figure. Like right here would have been nice to have more of that leather coloring for the glove. Here, might be nice to match the fabric. The neck joint looks really nice though overall. Like that's the one you can't really skimp out on. But you'll notice here, when you bring out the shoulder, it matches up pretty nicely. It's not perfect, but it's closer than the arm joints are. And then for the back of the leg here, it is literally just a black joint. Not the best looking thing overall, like especially when you go to articulate them. Oh, that stands out like a sore thumb, doesn't it? Like even having articulated a little bit starts showing you that joint. So for this Isaac, I tend to keep him pretty straight-legged. Like you can articulate it a little bit, but it does take away from the overall effect the figure's going for a little bit. And then for his belt, you have some more little stuff that I'm not exactly sure what it's meant to be, but kind of looks like a belt buckle. You have some pouches here so you can hold some extra stuff. Same with on the back here too. I imagine a lot of this is for extra ammunition and for survival packs. But his legs, unlike his armor, are just more standard cloth with some tubes running down the side. You have some little strings kind of holding the tubes into place here. But for the lower section of his leg, looks flipping awesome. We have a lot of this armored plating here for his magnetized boots that you use for stopping the crap out of necromorphs. Detail on the bottom of the soles are really nice looking. You even have some little hooks in so you know that he can get around the snow a little bit better. Some copper plating here for the knee pads and some more of that leather strapping going around the back. For his articulation, head can look down about that far, up about that far, rotate all the way around. Has a really nice wiggle to it. Shoulders can move forward and back. Can go up about that far, down about that far, rotate all the way around. A little bit of a rotation at the top here as well. You can pretty much rotate that all the way around as well. Nothing really here at the bicep. It does move a little bit, but nothing too crazy. You do have a rotation here at the elbow. And each of the joints are on ratchets. So it can bend in about that far, straighten about that far. Hand can also move about that far, back about that far, rotate all the way around. No real wiggle to it. You pretty much have to adjust the joint to go along with it. So if you want to have it rotating like to the side, you're going to have to move the joint. For his waist, I think it can go all the way around. Yep, can go all the way around. Has a really nice wiggle to it. Also at the waist, it is really hard to move this joint, but it can rotate side to side. And for his top portion of his pants, which kind of looks like underwear, this is actually a flexible plastic, so this actually will shift a little bit when you're articulating. But for his legs, can go out about that far, inwards about that far. Has a little bit of a rotation, nothing too crazy. Forward kicks about that far. Back kick, not a whole lot there. Double joint here at the knee, again, looks hideous, but it can bend in about that far, but no real rotation there. For his feet, can rotate all the way around. and pivot forward and back, and a little bit side to side. And for some quick comparison, here we have Isaac compared next to some other horror / sci-fi iconic monsters, with the Player Kai Colonial Marine Spitter Alien and the Glob Warrior Bug from Starship Troopers. And here's compared next to some NECA Dead Space action figures with Isaac Clarke from Dead Space 1 and Isaac Clarke from Dead Space 2 in the Advanced Armor. And here is next to the NECA Slasher Necromorph and the marker from the Dead Space 3 dev kit. And here's next to some Funko Five Nights at Freddy's figures with Springtrap and Bonnie. And here's some other video game icons with the NECA Claptrap from Borderlands and the Joyride. I'm just gonna call it the Red Spartan. I also have to have him leaning on Isaac because if I have him standing by himself, he just likes to woo. Literally no joints. So overall for the PlayArts Kai Dead Space 3 Isaac Clarke, I really enjoyed this figure. I like the accessories that they chose the figure to come with because they give you something very standard for the figure and something a little bit more off the wall. His detail for the figure is really nice, and the articulation actually works really well for it, even with it all being ratchet joints. I just wish the joints hit a little bit better, but we had the same problem with the Colonial Marines aliens, so I kind of assumed this figure would have the same problems that one did. And a light-up gimmick would have just really been icing on the cake for this figure. But I still really love the overall package for the figure and the packaging that it comes with, which is easily some of my favorite in my collection, if not the best thing ever. So if you guys really enjoy the Dead Space series, especially Dead Space 3, and wanting a representation of that Isaac from the game in your collection, then I definitely think the Square Enix figure is worth your time and investment. But what do you guys think? Do you guys own the PlayArts Isaac Clarke? What's your favorite horror action figure, or is Resident Evil just more your thing? Please let us know in the comments. We'll post a picture of this guy on our website if you want to click the link in the description below. We also have a Patreon account if you want to help support the channel. Also a link in the description below. And help us defeat those kaijus by hitting that like button, subscribe, become a ranger today, and happy Halloween! Bye bye.